Okay, students, you just finished part one, and now we're going to be moving on to part two. So inside of part two, you need to click and download this document right here, first of all, to get started, because this is our starter, Strand 2 Excel Basics Part 2, Starting Excel. When you click on that, it's going to start to load on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and then once it's loaded, you go ahead and double-click on the bottom left-hand corner to open it up, and then I'm going to wait a sec and come back to you. Okay, as you can see, now mine is opening up, and then once it does open up, I want to make sure to hit Enable Editing on this starter. The document is open, so here's Enable Editing. Inside of this spreadsheet, we call this document a workbook. And inside of the workbook, we have different worksheets. So on the bottom left-hand corner, you can see I can click on different sheets. We could have multiple sheets, and I can keep adding more with the new sheet button. We can have tons of sheets inside a workbook. So we're going to get started with instruction one to learn a little bit about how to work with worksheets on the bottom. Number one says to move the hide tab. So this is my hide tab. It says to move it to the end. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to drag it. And as I drag it, you can see that little black arrow move and show what position it's going to go to. So I'm going to move it right here, and then I'll let go when I have it where I want it. So there we go. I've moved it to the end. After I've moved it to the right, I'm going to hide it. To hide it, you right click on it and these options will come up, and you're going to choose hide, and that's how you hide a sheet. Later on we'll unhide it, but for now we're just going to hide it because we don't need it. All right, let's go back to the directions. Direction number two, I need to go to the budget tab, and then when I'm in there I need to change the landscape to orientation. So here we go. I'm inside of budget. I'm going to go to page layout. So up on the top we have ribbons just like we did in Microsoft Word. And they're very similar, just like in Microsoft Word, how the layout button messes with the layout of the document. Well, same thing in Excel. We're going to mess with the layout of our document here inside the page layout button. So I'm going to go to orientation just like Word, and I'm going to click landscape, and it's going to change the view of it. Now, when I did this, you're going to notice this dotted line changes. Right here, it's here, and that's showing, if I zoom out, this dotted line is showing my actual page. Like if I was to print it out, here's one page of paper. So if I change it to landscape, now you're going to see it changes and the dotted lines change. So as I zoom back in, you'll notice how those dotted lines change. All right, next instruction. Center the table on the page both vertically and horizontally. So I'm going to go back to the budget, and here's my table. I'm going to highlight it all. And in order to highlight, you need to make sure that your mouse is in the center of a cell, because there's four functions your mouse can do inside Excel documents. So whenever your mouse is hovered in the middle of the cell, it looks like a white plus. That's the select tool. If I was to hover it on a different section, such as this bottom right-hand corner, you can see it turns into a black plus. Or if I put it on one of the borders, it turns into a plus with arrows. So first of all, I want to select. So I'm going to click on cell A1 in the middle, and it selects it. I'm going to continue to hold down my mouse, and I'm going to drag it down and highlight everything inside here, and then let go once it's all highlighted. And then you're going to come over to the page layout tab again, and we're going to find margins. On margins, hit the drop down arrow, and then go down and click on custom margins. When you get in here, it's going to have you on the page tab, or you have the margins tab, or the header, or the footer, or the sheet. We're going to be working with the margins. And on the margins, you can see right now what the page would look like if it was to print. We're going to say center everything on horizontally and vertically. So now it's going to center our table in the middle. So if I was to hit print preview, you would see that in the print preview, it's now centered. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back. Oh, I'm going to make sure it did it. So margins, custom margins, and then they are clicked. So I'm going to hit OK. Perfect. Now I want to get back to these mouse functions. We saw that the white plus is how you select, but if I was to click on hover my mouse over one of the borders, that mouse turns to a black plus with arrows. And this is the move tool. So if I click and I move, you can see it's going to start to move it around according to wherever I drop it. So I'm going to cut it back on the border, and I'm going to move it back. It doesn't matter if you're on the bottom, left, top, or right border. We'll go ahead and undo that to get it back where it was. So white plus means select. A black plus with arrows means move. And then we'll show you the other plus in a little bit, which is going to be this black plus without arrows. But I also want to show you another function, and that is if you put it up on the top where the columns are or where the rows are, it's a black plus but only with arrows on certain ends, because these ends are notifying you how to adjust the size of that column or of that row. So when it's like this, it means you're adjusting the size of the column or the row. Okay, let's get back to the next portion of the assignment. We are going to create a custom and header and footer. Header and footer is done differently in Excel than what we had learned in Microsoft Word. And also, in order to insert a watermark, you have to do that in the header and footer. So we're going to be going over this section right here of instruction number 5. So to get started, we're going to go to the Insert tab on the top. And then on the Insert tab, you will come over to the box that says Text and hit this little drop-down arrow. And when you do, you're going to find a Header and Footer button. So when I click on Header and Footer, it will then appear in a different view. Our view is changed, and then inside of this view we have our header and footer. So just like in Microsoft Word, you have different views, and it shows them here on the bottom. We have normal, we have page layout, page breakout view, and then I could go into view and also change that views, but I have to be out of my header and footer to change my views. So I want to stay in my header and footer right now. So you'll notice how if I go out, I can change my view back to normal, but for now, let's just stay in my header and footer. Now I'm going to be doing this on the budget document though, not this document. So how do you close your header and footer once you're in your header and footer? Because just like in Excel and Microsoft Word, you also need to close your header and footer. And then basically how you do it is you have to go to your view button and change your view back to normal. Okay, so let's go to the budget, and now we're going to change that view. And I am going to go back into the Insert tab and then Text and then Header and Footer. Here we go. On the top left, we are putting our period and our full name. So let's say this is A1. My name is Mr. Blake. And then on the right-hand side of the header, we are putting current time and current date. So I could come down here and look what's the current time or current date. But the next time I open up this document, I want it to maintain the current time and current date. And we're going to learn a function that teaches us how to do that. Up in the top left, you're going to notice that I'm still on the home ribbon, but I have a design ribbon for my header and footer, and that's where I want to go next. I want to go to the header and footer tools design ribbon. So when I click on this, I'll have more options. And from here, I can design things inside of my header. So I'm going to go and put current date. And when I click on it, it's going to say whatever the date is, input it. And then I'm also going to do current time. So it tells me the both current date and current time. And we're going to see what that looks like later on. But I've input the code for that. All right, next step. In the footer, we're going to put in the file name, in other words, the name of the document, Strand 2 Excel Basics, and then a picture of a house, because that's going to be our watermark, and then a file path. File path is going to show where the path's located at. So first let's do file name, and I'm going to be using the footer. So I'm going to scroll down now and find the footer section of my document. Keep going. There's my footer. So you have to keep scrolling down. Now in my footer, I am going to be doing, again, what was it? File name. To get the file name, I can actually go back to this design button and say, put in the file name, and it's going to automatically put in the file name for me. And then on the right-hand side, see how it put it in? On the right-hand side, we're going to be putting in the file path. And now I'm going to go to the middle one, and then this is the file path where it's located at on my computer. All right, let's look at the middle section. In the middle section, we're going to put a picture of a house and format that picture to be 2 inches tall. So I'm going to click on the middle again, and then we're going to go to the design tools, and here is the picture button. Again, I'm going to look for a picture of a house, and it's going to search Bing for me. So house, and then I'll hit enter, and we'll grab a picture of a house once we get one up. We'll go with that one, and I'm going to hit insert. Now it just tells you that a picture's there. Right now in this view, you can't see the picture. So that makes it a little difficult, but that's why we have this picture format picture button. And remember, we need to format the picture to be 2 inches high. There we go. Here's my instruction. It was still loading. 2 inches tall. There we go. It's finally showing my picture, but I'm going to go back into my footer, and then from my footer, we're going to go and format that picture. The computer's just loading with that picture in there. And you can see the picture is acting as a watermark. So once the picture does get in there, it's going to take a while to load, but it's too tall. It's taking up my whole space. That's why I am going to need to change the settings of this picture to be 2 inches tall. Okay, just waiting for it to load. Come on. There we go. Design button. See how I have to be patient? It is taking a while. And now format picture. And we're going to make the height only 2 inches. So it's just showing up in my footer. And then I'm going to hit OK. And then everything else will auto format according to what you put the height. So auto formatted everything else and put the ratios. All right, there we go. Now I got my picture in. Anything else in here? Nope, it just says to go back to normal view in number 6. So we're going to go back to normal view. Right here, I'm going to go to my view button, or I can come down here. You can click here, and that's the normal view as well. So let's scroll up and see what it looks like now. And it looks like our document before, but you don't see the header and footer. Well, if I was to go into File and do a print preview, we would see what it would look like once it's going to print, as you can see right here. There's my header, and then there's my footer. When you're in the editing version, it doesn't show you that information. All right, number 7, change the sheet to black and white. Okay, I'm going to come back to the budget sheet, and then inside of the page layout, because I'm messing with the page layout, I have this section called page setup, and we have these dialog pop-out boxes. I'm going to click on the page setup dialog pop-out box, and then inside there, remember I'm changing the sheet color to black and white, so I'm going to go to the sheet tab, and then I'm going to choose black and white, and then hit OK. And now everything will print in black and white. All right, next step. Change the tab color to blue. So here's my budget tab color. I'm going to right click just like we did before when we hid. But on this one, I'm going to change the tab color to blue. We'll go normal blue. Perfect. And now you can see the color change to blue. In that tab, like here, it'd be yellow, green, but we're going to leave it as blue. All right, next instruction. We are going to protect our workbook. This means we're going to make it so nobody else can edit it. So I'm going to come into the file, and then we have this protect workbook button. I'm going to click on the drop down, and then I can protect just one sheet, or I can protect everything in the workbook. So I'm going to click on protect workbook structure, and that way nothing can happen to this document. Now I have to give it a password, so I'm going to make my password so I don't forget it for my sake. And I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to ask me to re-enter it to verify that it is typed correctly. And now I've protected my workbook, so now if anybody was to open this up, they wouldn't be able to edit it, they'd only be able to view it unless they knew the password. Okay, let's go ahead and save this document as a PDF, and I'm going to go File, Save as Adobe PDF, or we could also go Export. And we're not going to do an Adobe, we're going to do just a normal PDF. So I'm going to click on this option and then create a PDF, because a lot of times if I click on the Adobe option, it gives me problems. And then I'm going to go ahead and save it to my Business Office. Well, I'm going to go to my Google Drive, and then I'm going to go to my Drive, and then my Business Office Specialist folder, and then my Excel folder from there. And then hit Publish, and it will create it. And then you're ready to submit it to Canvas after you've saved. So you can close this out. But I just wanted to quickly show you the print preview so you can see what our document looks like. It's in black and white. It is centered. I do have my header and footer with my image right there. So even though you don't see it in the edit view, when it goes to the print view, you can see what it really looks like when it's going to print. So again, I'll go up to the print layout view and you can see what it looks like if it was to print. So best of luck. I hope you were able to do this with ease at home. Go ahead and close it out and then submit your PDF to Canvas. Again, I want your PDF submitted to Canvas. Once the PDF is saved, go ahead and close this document out. And then inside of Canvas, you're going to be submitting both Excel's parts 1 and part 2 to this Canvas page. So the first one, you're going to be submitting the Excel spreadsheet we did. And then in the second one, you're going to be submitting the PDF document you have. Adios.